Hello, my dears. Mabel Rose Thompson here. I love you all. I am 103 years old, and I still know what day it is, what year it is, and exactly where I put my keys every single morning. Now, I want you to think about that for a second, because I know what you've been told. You've been told that getting old means losing your mind, that dementia is just something that happens, that it's genetic, it's random, it's a roll of the dice, that there's nothing you can do about it. I'm here to tell you that is a lie. I have buried friends, good people, smart people, people sharper than me at 40 who couldn't remember their own grandchildren's names at 80, and I've watched it happen. I've sat by bedsides and held hands that didn't know whose hands they were holding. And I promised myself I would never stop fighting for my mind. I'm 103. I still do my own crossword. I still tend my garden. I still remember the name of every teacher I ever had, every neighbor I ever loved, every person I ever buried. My mind is mine, and I'm going to tell you exactly why. Dr. Henderson told me in 1991 that my brain was at risk, said my family history was a concern, said I should prepare myself, gave me pamphlets, big glossy pamphlets full of words like irreversible and progressive. You know where Dr. Henderson is now? He doesn't remember my name anymore. I still remember his. Before I continue, please subscribe so we can continue writing our history and the beautiful stories of Mabel. Let's continue our story today. So, let me tell you what I actually did, and what I actually ate, and how I actually lived. The food. First things first, your brain is made of fat, not carbohydrates, not fiber, fat. 60% of your brain is fat. And if you're not feeding it the right kind of fat, it starts to fall apart. It's just that simple. I eat eggs every single day, 3 whole eggs, yolk and all, fried in butter. I have done this since before most of you were born. The yolk has choline in it. Choline is what your brain uses to build acetylcholine. That's the chemical your brain uses to think, to remember, to hold on to things. You throw away the yolk, you throw away your mind. I don't care what some man in a lab coat told you. He's not 103. I am. Every doctor who told me to stop eating eggs is dead. I am still here, still eating my eggs. The second thing is fatty fish. Salmon, sardines, mackerel, the oily kind, the kind that smells like the sea. I eat fish at least 4 times a week, have for decades. Your brain needs EPA and DHA. Those are omega-3 fatty acids, and your brain absolutely runs on them. Without them, the connections between your brain cells start to get inflamed. They start to break down. That inflammation is what Alzheimer's researchers have been staring at for 30 years, trying to figure out where it comes from. It comes from not eating the right fat and eating too much of the wrong kind. They've been selling you vegetable oil since the 1960s. Canola oil, soybean oil, corn oil. You know what those oils do inside your body? They oxidize. They go rancid in your bloodstream. They create inflammation in your arteries, in your joints, in your brain. I have never cooked with vegetable oil in my life. I use butter. I use lard. I use the fat God made, not the fat some chemist invented in a factory. Third, raw cacao. I put a spoonful of real bitter cacao powder in my coffee every single morning. Not the sweet powder, not the hot chocolate mixed with the little marshmallows. The real dark, bitter stuff that tastes like dirt and strength. It has something in it called PQQ, pyrroloquinoline. And don't ask me to spell that twice. That tells your body to build new mitochondria in your brain cells. That means your brain cells are making new energy engines. Your brain is literally rebuilding itself. My grandmother would have called it medicine. Scientists finally caught up and started calling it that too. Fourth, blueberries. Every single day, a big handful. Blueberries, blackberries, raspberries, the darker the better. You know what makes them dark? Polyphenols, anthocyanins. The color is the medicine. Those compounds cross the blood-brain barrier, which is a wall between your bloodstream and your brain, and they go to work, reducing inflammation, protecting neurons, cleaning up the damage. God made them sweet on purpose, so you'd want to eat them. That's not a coincidence. Fifth, I have never eaten anything that came out of a crinkly bag with a cartoon on it. Not at 40, not at 60, not now. Ultra-processed food destroys your gut. And when your gut is sick, your brain is sick. There's a highway of nerves running from your gut to your brain called the vagus nerve. When your gut is inflamed, it sends signals up that highway and your brain starts to fire wrong. They call it the gut-brain axis now. I call it what my grandmother called it. If your stomach is unhappy, you are unhappy. All of you, including your mind, the habits. Now, food is the fuel, but it is not the whole engine. I have never stopped using my brain, ever. I want you to understand what that means. I didn't retire my mind when I retired from teaching. I didn't hand my brain over to a television and tell it to sit down. Every single morning, I do something hard, something that makes me think. A crossword puzzle, a letter to my great-grandchildren, a new book, a problem I haven't solved yet. Your brain is a muscle. You have heard this before. You've heard it and you've nodded and then you've gone back to scrolling your phone for 3 hours. I'm telling you again, use it or lose it is not a motivational poster. It is biology. When you stop challenging your brain, the connections between neurons weaken. They literally prune themselves away because the brain is efficient. It doesn't keep what it thinks it doesn't need. So if you're not demanding things of your brain, it starts to dismantle itself. Quietly, over years, until one day you go looking for a word you've known your whole life and it isn't there anymore. I sleep 8 hours every single night. I have been in bed by 9 o'clock for 40 years, and I'm not ashamed of it one bit. You know what happens when you sleep? Your brain runs a cleaning cycle. There is a system, scientists discovered it not too long ago. They called it the glymphatic system, where fluid flushes through your brain and carries out the waste. The proteins, the debris, the damaged materials, the stuff that builds up into plaques if it's never cleared. That cleaning cycle only runs when you're in deep sleep. If you're not sleeping, your brain is not cleaning itself. All that waste just sits there and piles up and hardens, and they find it on the autopsy table and call it Alzheimer's disease. Sleep is not laziness. Sleep is brain maintenance. I walk every day, not a marathon, not a triathlon. I walk. In the morning, after my eggs, I walk outside. I look at things. I breathe the air. I feel the ground under my feet. Physical movement increases blood flow to the brain. It causes the brain to release something called BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which is essentially fertilizer for your neurons. It helps grow new brain cells and new connections. They used to tell us you were born with all the brain cells you'd ever have, and when they died, they were gone. That was wrong. You can grow new ones, but not if you're sitting still. The spirit. Here is the part that is going to surprise you. I'm going to tell you that bitterness causes dementia. Not officially, not in a medical textbook, though I suspect it will be someday. But I have watched it happen too many times to call it coincidence. I've known people who did everything right, ate clean, exercised, took all their vitamins, and they still lost their minds. And you know what else they had? Decades of unresolved anger, decades of resentment they carried around like a weight, a brother they hadn't spoken to in 20 years, a daughter-in-law they despised, a grudge they nursed so carefully it became part of their identity. Chronic stress, and that is what sustained anger is, it is stress floods your body with cortisol. And cortisol, over years and years, damages the hippocampus. The hippocampus is where memory lives, where you store your life. Cortisol erodes it, slowly, like water wearing down a stone. And one day you wake up and your stone is gone. I have made peace with everyone I needed to make peace with. Some of them weren't easy. My mother was a hard woman, cold. There were years of hurt between us. I carried that for too long. And when I finally let it go, not for her, she was already gone, but when I finally let it go for myself, I felt it lift off me. I got lighter. I got clearer. I think I got smarter. Forgive people. not because they deserve it, because you deserve peace, because your brain deserves peace, because hate is a poison and you are the one drinking it. And find your purpose. I wake up at 5:30 every morning because I have things to do, a garden that needs tending, a great-granddaughter who calls me every Tuesday and tells me everything, neighbors who stop by, letters to write, books to finish. I have reasons. People who have no reason to get up, who have retired from work and then retired from life, they are the ones I watch decline. Not always, but often enough. Your brain needs a job. Give it one. The thing nobody wants to hear. I'm 103 years old, and I have watched the entire arc of this. I watched them demonize fat in the 1950s. I watched them push margarine and then apologize for margarine. I watched them tell us eggs were killing us and then reverse that too. I watched them invent 100 diets and sell 1,000 supplements and fund 1 million studies. And through all of it, the people who kept their minds longest were eating simple, real food, using their brains every day, sleeping like it was sacred, moving their bodies, and making peace with their lives. No magic pill, no expensive program, no optimization algorithm. Real food, a working mind, real sleep, movement, and peace. That is the whole thing. That is what I've done for 103 years. I'm going to tell you something now, and I want you to hear it. You are running out of time to start. Not because you're old, but because the damage builds slowly, quietly, for years before you notice it. The time to feed your brain is now. The time to sleep is now. The time to forgive whoever you're still carrying around in that heavy chest of yours is now. Don't wait until you're sitting in a room not knowing where you are. Don't wait until the word for the thing you've known your whole life isn't there anymore. Don't do what Betty did, what Jack did, what all those people I've watched do who thought there was more time. There is no later. There is only now. I'm 103 years old. My mind is mine, and I plan to keep it. Eat your eggs. Sleep your 8 hours. Walk outside. Read a hard book. Forgive somebody. Find your reason to get up in the morning. And for God's sake, stop eating things that come out of a crinkly bag. Mabel Rose Thompson, 103 years old. Still here, still sharp, still keeping score. Subscribe and don't forget to like and share.